we are more tailored to a more of a matrimonial app, not like a hookup app. So a lot of people tend to gravitate towards that because of what we stand for as a company.
Today Africa Podcast is a podcast series where we interview African entrepreneurs and professionals and share the stories behind their businesses. In each interview, we ask how they got started, how they grew, and how they run their business today. The stories are inspiring and also provide specific advice and insight into starting a business. By sharing these stories, we want to help others get started.
My name is Olatoye. I'm the co-founder of Trueflutter dating app, and I'm also a professional matchmaker. And so we launched Trueflutter about 5 years ago, and we started with speed dating events, and that was led to the us building the app, and well, that's where we are now. We've had over 107 weddings, close to half a million
Wow.
subscribers, and we're growing month on month.
What inspired you to venture into this career path? And what problem were you trying to solve?
Well, there are two things that made me go into this. First of all, I used to matchmake for the fun of it when I was in university. I used to match people in other schools, people in my school, and I never even thought of it as a business. So after uni, I decided to work in an oil and gas firm, which I did for over 10 years. But at a point in time, I just decided, okay, I wanted something different. But also, one thing that also led me into wanting to do this was because my sister was single till like 47. She got married at the age of 47, and the person she got married to just lived a few streets away from her. And I just told myself, why can't technology solve this problem? Why can't technology solve the problem of connecting people? And that's why I ventured into creating Trueflutter dating app. Being able to solve the problem of singleness, being able to connect people that are looking for serious and genuine relationships across board in different countries. And so that's how I started, and that's what inspired me, to go into this.
What challenges did you face, during the development of Trueflutter, and how did you overcome them?
So I'll say that first of all, the challenges would have been the development phase, because when we're building with developers and we launched the MVP, there were a lot of bugs. Then so we had to continue fixing. So basically, when I started, then I was the customer care, I was everything. I was the CEO, customer care, everything. So at like 2 a.m. in the morning, I used to answer. I used to like respond to complaints and all that. So I was doing all that myself then when we started. So those were the challenges we're facing. Challenges we're facing was basically from the tech angle, but we were able to resolve that over time, getting the right people, the right developers, and right people to help us this, build a better product. So I guess that was one of the major challenges. But in terms of being a conservative country, I don't think we're as conservative as we used to be, because right now there's a AI revolution, social media period where a lot of people use social media, and a lot of people are open to expressing themselves. So that has helped us a lot, because a lot of people now are very open to using dating apps now in Africa and also in the diaspora. So it's not as been as challenging as it used to be when people never wanted to be seen on dating apps. So right now, because a lot of people can be open to sharing their stories on Instagram, it's very easy for them to just be on a dating app, especially for us, because we are more tailored to a more of a matrimonial app, not like a hookup app. So a lot of people tend to gravitate towards that because of what we stand for as a company. And so yeah, that's just basically it. A lot of people are open to using our apps now, our platforms now, because of what we stand for as a company.
Fun is often a challenge, more especially to entrepreneurs building in Africa. So, can you share insight on how you're able to raise capital for your business?
Okay, so that's one thing that I would. So I always tell people that when you're building something, you have an idea, try and get funds yourself to build an MVP. So a lot of people have a million and one ideas, and a lot of people feel that those ideas will fly, and investors won't be convinced enough if unless it's a novel idea. There are some novel ideas that a lot of people would say is a no-brainer, But if it's an idea that you have as an entrepreneur, then I feel that you need to fund it through friends and family. Friends and family, those are people that are willing to take a chance on you, even though they know it's just an idea. But most investors do not invest in just ideas. They invest in something that's already viable, something that's already maybe generating some sort of revenue, and something that is gaining some sort of traction. So what we did at Trueflutter was that when we started, we funded myself and my partner, is also my brother. We self-funded the MVP, which which we generated quite an amount of revenue, and also quite some numbers in terms of users. And that's how we were able to demonstrate that we had a viable product. But also everybody needs to be diligent. Entrepreneurs need to be diligent. So for like I said, I started with speed dating events, and I was very diligent with all the speed dating events I had. A lot of people came there, they paid to come for those events, and that's enough to show even investors that okay, people are willing to. There's a difference. You have an idea, people are willing to pay for it, and it has the ability to grow. So investor, I was able to demonstrate that this space that I'm in, people are willing to pay for this service, but also the product alone is viable enough to grow at a certain amount of pay. So my advice to entrepreneurs is that when you're trying to raise funds, it's just not coming with an idea, it's also being able to demonstrate that idea by investing your money, and also invest maybe your family members' money into it. And like I always say, if I were to be an investor, I would look at the amount of money you yourself have invested in the company, because you just can't bring ideas and expect people to just invest in it. You also need to have invested time and money into that your business. So that is what I always look at, and that's what investors look at in terms of fundraising.
As a professional matchmaker, what is your biggest strength when it comes to matchmaking?
Okay, my biggest strength would be being able to identify the personality traits and being able to identify the
Okay.
people that I feel that can be matched. The level of agreeableness will be high with another person. So I can tend to read people a lot, and just based on information I get from them, I can put it together to get to understand who they really are. And I can get them matches based on their life, on their personality traits. So I have the ability to do that as a matchmaker. And it's also very important because, being able to own your skills over the years and being able to understand what if this person will be able to work well with the other party. So I have the ability to identify the right candidates and the right people to be matched successfully.
When it comes to meeting with your clients, for instance, I'm your client and I approach you that I wanted to match me with someone. So, what area do you work most with your clients?
So first of all, I always tell my clients I'm always available. I'll say 24/7, but at least I'm always available most of the time. And the areas I work with is the areas of mentoring, the areas of counseling, but also the area of matching. So there's a difference in also matching people. People have come with different personality traits. People come with different things that they think is right, but it might be wrong. They may not necessarily be bad people. They just have a certain mindset. So for me as a person, as a matchmaker, I always try to make them see reasons why they should see things differently. Because everybody has a certain perception of who they feel that is right for them or who they feel they should date. And I come in as a counselor, not only a matchmaker, but counselor to counsel them on making the right decisions in terms of matching and dating. So that's basically what I do, counseling and also matching. And the thing about it is that everybody has a history, you have a history in terms of your background, your family backgrounds, in terms of where you grew up, in terms of where you grew up. So it's people have different histories and different mindsets. Even if you have a brother in the same house, you tend to have different mindsets on certain things, or tastes. Because you might like some certain things your brother doesn't like. So I'm the one that comes to match people together based on their history and see how I can correct some things for them in terms of their mindsets to make sure that the relationship is successful and it works well.
People have their expectations, and some people might come to you with unrealistic expectations. Like, I need this, I need that in a guy, I need this in a woman. And sincerely speaking, it might not be realistic. So, how do you deal with such clients?
That's a wonderful question. And that's a wonderful question you asked me, and that's what I go through a lot of times. Now, when I was younger, I had a crush on Brandy, a crush on Brandy, and
Okay.
I didn't end up marrying Brandy, right? Because I had a certain
Okay.
expectation of who my babe would be. And also, when I was younger, I had a thing for Igbo girls. I know you're an Igbo guy, so I had a thing for Igbo girls. And when they served me breakfast like 4 times, I had to go and sit down and say, okay, do you know what? What I want might not be what is right for me. Now, I'm not shading Igbo babes. Igbo babes are still cool babes. But what I'm saying is that I had a certain preference for certain people, and it just never worked. Maybe because of the cultural differences and all that. Now, a lot of people tend to have these things. Oh, they want this in a woman, they want this in a guy, they want this, that. And I always tell them, see, and especially when people are not perfect, we're all not perfect. We're all imperfect. And a lot of people always want
Yeah.
to see that perfect person. They always want to date that perfect person in their eyes. And I always tell them straight up, because I'm a very blunt matchmaker. I tell them straight up that come, you want certain preferences doesn't mean that those people are right for you. There's going to be a lot of clash. There's going to be a lot of things. Let me give you an instance. For someone that from different socioeconomic backgrounds, maybe a guy earns, let me give you an instance. A guy earns 200,000 per month, and he wants to date a girl that's in an upwardly mobile place that earns 5 million per month. Now, the question now is that how would that work? Because there's going to be a lot of issues in terms of you depending so much on the lady and it causing a lot of friction, because everybody knows that one of the reasons why a lot of people get divorced is also finance, and finance plays a
Yeah.
major role. So when you as a person, you know that you don't even meet up to this person in terms of status, how do you think that you have a successful relationship? So those are the instances of where people have unrealistic expectations. They want to date a supermodel, they want to date someone that's a trophy wife that they cannot meet their needs, and it's very difficult. And that's why I keep telling them that, see, marry someone that's in your same socio-economic space, so you can manage these kind of things. Now, I'm not saying that people that earn 200 cannot earn 5 million tomorrow, but it takes time to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And they should manage the expectations based on that. Same way with ladies that maybe have some certain expectation of certain men. I always tell people that, come, I believe a lot in trajectory and a plan for someone's life. If you feel that someone is doing pretty well and is a really hard worker in terms of what they do, look at those kind of traits in a man, and see how you can measure up and try and just make things work. You know,
Yeah.
and in terms of age, in terms of all those things, I feel like age is not nothing but a number, and people might come with some certain instances of, oh, this girl is older than me with 2 years, I can't marry her. I said, what? I mean, I feel that it's all tradition, and I feel that those kind of can sabotage potential relationships. If, for instance, now Kim Kardashian now, she's 5 years older than you. Let's just give an instance. 5 years older than you. Will you say you not marry her because she's 5 years older than you? Because she's very fine and she's pretty. So you overlook those things. So so all those things are that they're valid questions. But I always tell people, look at values in someone, look at the person's background in terms of how they grew up, how are they family oriented. If you're a Christian, are you looking for someone that's also a Christian that will improve your spiritual life? So those things are very important. Look at the things that you want you want your children to emulate, and they'll live in a good environment that you feel that you can nurture them well. So those are the things that a lot of people need to look at. don't have unrealistic expectations about, oh, I want a touch of Kim Kardashian, I want a touch of Oyedepo's wife, Oyedepo's wife, I want a touch of Mercy Chinwo all together. Just have a balance. Have a balance. Don't create, don't give create unrealistic expectations for yourself. And one thing I also like to talk about, and this is especially guys, it happens to a lot of guys that guys tend to marry late. So a lot of guys tend to say, "Oh, I'm enjoying my bachelor life. Let me marry to 40s." But I have a question. Do you want to raise kids at the age? You want to keep raising kids when you're 70, 80? Because it's all a period. Because if you want to marry in your 40s, you have your first child, maybe you're 45 or maybe 49, and do you still want to be raising kids at an old age? So it's very good for people to make men, especially, to make decisions earlier in life, and so they can actually raise kids at a younger age.
You started through Flutter,
So
sorry. What is your success rate like?
we've had over 107 weddings, and
Okay.
we've had over 107 weddings, and counting. So I would say the success rate is really high. In terms of the service itself, I think we're the highest in Africa in terms of matchmaking and all that. In terms of the dating space, I think we're the highest. We have the highest number of weddings in Africa, and I mean owned by an
Okay.
African. So we're doing pretty well in terms of numbers, in terms of matchmaking, in terms of getting people married. We've done quite a lot.
How does your matchmaking process begin?
So the process begins with it begins with, if it's the app itself, is the process is quite easy. If it's the app, you can just download. If it's the app, you can download it on Play Store or App Store. You can use the app. But if you want to use the private matchmaking, which is for the private matchmaking is for like elites and upwardly mobile people. You book a consultation, then you set it, then our customer representative reaches out to you, and we pick a date for an interview or a consultation. After the consultation is just basically getting to know who you are and trying to know more about you, then also transition to getting matches for you.
Let's talk a bit about you. You are a matchmaker, and like you said, you suffered some. You took some breakfast from my Igbo sisters.
Yeah.
So why didn't you matchmake yourself, or is it that matchmakers, professional matchmakers like yourself, find it difficult to match themselves, or what?
Funny enough, it was never difficult for me. I just wanted to be professional with. I was more of a professional person. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want to like meet. I didn't want to date people that were my clients. I didn't want to date people
Okay.
that come for my events. I just had a certain rule that I never wanted to do that. But also, like I said, it's still the same thing that I tell bachelors now. I was like so engrossed in my work because I knew I had a lot of work ahead of me in terms of building the platform. So I was really engrossed with work and trying to build the platform. So time went by in terms of being single, and before I knew it, I was like 40, and I just realized that, okay, do you know what? I need to be more intentional about finding a match or finding someone. And that's when I was more intentional. Now, that's exactly what I tell men. Sometimes you just think that, oh, and maybe I'll just comfortable being single, then, oh, living in the same house, not being able to be accountable to anybody. But at a point in time, you now realize that time has gone, and you need to be, you need to be very intentional about it. You don't want, like I said, you don't want to raise kids at an old age. Like, imagine having your first kid at 45, maybe even another 3 years, having another one. So, like in your 60s, you're still trying to have kids. So, it's a lot of work, unless you're a man that doesn't want to have a family. Or, do you understand? But if you're really serious
Yeah.
about having a family, you need to be making those decisions early in life so you can raise kids and you can enjoy that. You can have a bond with your children even at an old age. Do you understand? So for me, yes, I was single,
Yeah.
and I think I was also a victim of just being in my singleness and just wanting to just enjoy. I mean, work took the best part of me, and also wanting to just be in my space then. But when I started becoming intentional, things changed.
So speaking of that, let's talk about you finding your wife on Trueflutter. So how was this feeling like that what you created, the Trueflutter that you created, is a tool that helped you to find your wife?
Yeah, so for me, for me, funny enough, I wasn't, funny enough, I was happy I was getting married, but
Yeah.
it wasn't in my mind that I met my wife on Trueflutter, but I was just the happiness of being married or getting married,
Okay.
was what's on my mind. Okay, well, I'm getting married. Okay, let me see how it feels. You get so. I wasn't like, I met my wife on the app. It was later that now dawned on me that, you know what? I mean, it's a good story. Yeah, I met my wife on the platform, and we just gelled immediately. We got married in 5 months or thereabouts. We met on the platform, and that's what I tell people, that when you meet people on the platform, and you really have a certain vibe with them, it takes a short while. If you really, of course, the person knows she too wants to settle down, because you already understand that, okay, you want to settle down. So the question now is that, are both of you compatible? And that's what you need to find out over the few months, and make decisions based on your level of communication and level of chemistry, to know, also level of agreeableness, to know if you're both compatible. So it was quite an easy thing to be able to understand that. And yes, it's good to know that I met my wife on the platform, and yeah, and it's been smooth sailing since.
You are now married and you have experience. So what's your definition of true love?
So I equate true love with the level of sacrifice. I equate love with how much you want to sacrifice for your spouse. Now, let me go back to the Bible. God loved us so much, or love still loves us so much, that He gave His only begotten Son. And when Christ died for us, Christ sacrificed Himself for us on the cross. And if you equate that to marriage, it talks about how much you can sacrifice for your wife or for your partner. How can you put your partner first in everything? So the highest expression of love is sacrifice. How much are you willing to sacrifice for them? And I'm saying that it's not because, I'm not saying it that, you should write it down and say, this I must be doing something. It comes genuinely, it comes voluntarily. It's not like you're forced to make sacrifices. You understand what I mean? It's something that okay, this person, I love this person so much that I don't want this person to get hurt. I don't always want this person to feel sad. What can I do to make this person feel better? What can I do to make this person feel more comfortable? What can I do to make this person feel happy? Because the more they're happy, the more you're happy as a person. So I would say that love is about sacrifice. And that's why when I see people the first day and they say, "Oh, I love you," I say, "No, you don't understand what love is. You just can't be throwing love around just like that." It takes, when you wake up in the morning and you think about your wife before you, or your spouse before yourself, when you put that person first, that's what love is about. Love is about sacrifice.
What are the signs that someone should look at when he or she sees true love?
Like I said, the signs you should look at is how much does the person show up for you? How much is the person communicating with you? Number 3, how much sacrifice is the person making for you? I always say a relationship is a two-way street, not a one-way street. Nobody's trying to pull it from anybody that, I care for you, I do. No. It's two parties that are meant to put in the work. Two parties in terms of, now I'm not saying it should be 50-50, but there should be a level of input from each party. You understand?
Okay.
And in terms of, and that's when you appreciate the relationship more. When you put in a lot of work in that relationship, you don't appreciate things you don't work for. Like, let me give you an instance. You do 9 to 5, you got your salary. You won't go and blow it up in a lounge one night, because you know how much you work for it in a month. Unless
Yeah.
somebody, if someone dashes you money now, you can blow it anyhow, because you will say, I didn't work for it. I just did it, right? But if you work for something, you know how to manage those things. It's the same way with relationship. When people work towards making their relationships better, they tend to appreciate it because they see the relationship grow. They nurture the plants, they nurture the relationship with water, they prune the plants. That's nurturing, putting effort in making sure the relationship is better. So when the plant blooms, when the flower blooms, they'll be able to appreciate that flower, and appreciate the relationship. So that's basically about it. Both parties need to have an input in those relationships.
We are in the internet era, and we are always faced with internet fraud. So, how can one trust the online matchmaking and equally matchmakers like yourself?
Well, first of all, you don't. I will always tell people, don't never give anybody money. I mean, it's already stated there. Even if you say you love me from now to eternity, and you just bet, and I just met you, do not ever send money to anybody. Even because that shows that a lot of things will happen in the future like that. So
Yeah.
we always say state that do not send money to anybody, do not share with anybody, and we have a security system on the app itself that flags accounts. So if so basically flags accounts, you can report people. If someone asks you for money, you can actually report them in terms of what they said or what they're asking for, and we deactivate the accounts based on that. We have zero tolerance for all those things.
The rate of divorce in Nigeria is skyrocketing almost every year. So why do you think that most ladies and guys remain single?
So there are a few things I'm going to say. First of all, let me correct you. I feel there's more negativity that's put out there than a lot of positivity in terms of news. Now there are a lot of divorces,
Okay.
but there are a lot of good marriages. There are a lot of good marriages too. But people don't come and say, we've been married for 5 years, we've been married for 10 years, and they put it out in public, or blogs carry it. Oh, these people have been married for 5 years, or 10 years, or 3 years. People don't bring out those things. It's only the divorce that people bring out. And there's more negativity put out there than a lot of positivity in terms of marriage. So yes, there's so many people that have had bad relationships or bad marriages, but there are also so many people that are happily married. Now, what is the cause of these things? I think it's the level of exposure. You're exposed to so much that your level of expectation is very high as a person. It's unusually high. And that is why things are different from the way our parents lived and the way we live now. The way our parents lived back then, we're not so exposed to so many things and a certain lifestyle that is expected of them to live. That is why even if they have 100K per month, your parents will be happily married and they'll manage their lives and they'll try and build on those things. But right now, concerning expectations that are set, that are very unrealistic, and if you don't hit those expectations, it now starts to cause a friction. And that is why I always tell people, when you always want to get married, come as you are. You don't create a certain expectation that you can't meet up to. If you earn 200K per month, tell your wife you earn 200K per month. If you earn 100K per month, be open. Do you know why? Because your wife can understand, okay, I'm going to get married to this guy. Do I love him so much that I want to get married to him and I can manage my expectations? But no, there's so many things that are happening in this world now. Imagine people just walking around with cameras up and down like they're acting like celebrities or people, because they're creating a certain expectation for yourself. And when people meet you, they think, okay, this person's an high flyer, but maybe they're not. And so when you create this uncertain, unrealistic expectations and you get matched together, then you start having friction because you say this is not what I thought this person was or she was or he was, because it's now a different ballgame entirely. So make sure as much as possible, always come clean. If you are this, say you are this, and you will know. So the person will make a decision for themselves. Can I marry this person like this? Or Can I sacrifice my lifestyle that I currently have for the person I love? So those are the things that the person will now decide, and that will now make them have informed decisions on if they're going to be together. So putting it out there, the key points would be, don't create unrealistic expectations. Come clear, put all your cards on the table. Let the person know you. Okay, this is who I am. This is where I'm from. This is the family I'm from. If my father left my mom, or my mom left my father, or whatever it is, this is how I grew up. But this is not who I want to be in life. I mean, do you accept me for who I am? In terms of my inadequacies, do you still love me regardless of my inadequacies? Would you still want to be with me regardless of my background or where I'm from? Then that you can start having good conversations that will lead to good relationships, not deceptions and not all those things.
What are the qualities that the matchmaker must have?
Well, the qualities a matchmaker must have is basically knowing personality traits, being able to study people, psychology, being able to study human behavior, being able to know the trends, the certain patterns, being able to identify certain patterns in certain people, and being able to see how you can also get a course in counseling. You can also be able to counsel people, because at the end of the day, it's also a mindset thing. You'd also have to, you have to change certain mindsets to be able to have a good relationship. So being able to be a counselor and also being able to be a psychologist, and we can take courses on all those things and have a better success in matching people.
Trueflutter is not an NGO. You are running a business, and yes, you are making a difference in the life of people. But at the same time, you have yourself to take care of. You have your family, and like we are in Africa, extended family included. So how do you people make money? Because I have tried to study your app. Okay, currently I didn't see any ad on your app. So how do you people generate revenue to keep the business running, since you people are not an NGOs?
We generate revenue on a daily basis. People pay for premium subscription. People pay for Flutters. People pay for Bloom subscriptions. So what Flutter does is that you can send an audio introduction to someone, like you see a babe, or if it's Ekanem, or if it's Chinaza or somebody, you can send an audio introduction. Hi, my name is Emeka. I would like to, I love what you do. I think you're in the tech space. I'd really like to get to meet you. And that's a voice introduction. And that's what our app does. Our app is the most unique app in terms of that. We do voice introductions. So not only swipe left, swipe right. So those are paid services. You want to be a premium member, you only want to see premium people. You upload to premium, you upgrade to premium, and you can change your filters to say that you only want to see premium people and you only want to be seen by premium people. So that's a paid feature. And also we have the private matchmaking service. For those who don't want to be on the app and want to use private matchmaking, it's also a paid service. So there are different ways that which people pay on the platform. It's not an NGO.
Okay. Okay. What advice would you give to others who want to venture into this career path, like who wants to become a matchmaker or who wants to own their dating app? What advice would you give to them?
The advice would be, first of all, are you committed to it? Are you committed to having a dating app? Because it's a lot of work. And I kid you not, I embrace more people coming to this space, and it's fine. I can't be the only person, so it's okay. But I always tell people it's a lot of work. So if you feel that you just want to use it as a business venture, you will encounter more obstacles. It now depends. It's your love for the platform that will determine if you have a strong will to remain in this company or to build or to own a dating app. But it's a lot of work. In terms of the sector we're in, I think it's much more difficult compared to all the fintechs and all the other guys out there. It's easier to run those kind of companies than run a dating app because it's a B2C, number one, B2C company. And number two, you need to do extensive research. And it takes a lot of passion to be able to do these things. So extensive research. I remember when I started, I used to go for interviews like 1 a.m. in the morning, like radio stations, drive for at 1 a.m. in the morning. And people used to say, this guy, why are you driving in the morning? Isn't it a bit, aren't you be scared driving at that point? I said, no, because I love what I do. I know most of these love programs are always in the night now, right? All these radio stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot. And it took a lot of sacrifice, it took a lot of work, and it took a lot of the fact that I love what I do. That's why we are where we are now. Because if I were to be an average person that just said, okay, let me just start a business, then I don't think Trueflutter would be alive now, because I would have caved into certain challenges we faced in the past. And so you need to understand if you're passionate about this thing and you want to go into it, because it takes a lot of work, 24/7, a lot of work. Like someone reached out to me like last week and said, he wanted to have a chat with me. He's building an app. He wants to build a dating app. I said, fine. Is it a full-time job? He said, no. And he has other jobs he's doing. I said, man, you have to dedicate your time to this thing. It's not something that you feel that you just do and it should just be going on its own and be generating the thing on its own, because it has to do with human behavior, and you need to check patterns on how are they enjoying the app? Is it functioning enough? How can we make tweaks? How can we make corrections? How can we do things? So there's a lot of work in it. How can we tweak? How can we iterate? How can we do a lot of things? So if you're passionate about this thing, you can go into it, but most importantly, get a mentor that's already been through this space before. I got a mentor when I started. I got a mentor that's built the biggest Muslim dating app in the world. They generate over £1 million every month, and they have millions of subscribers. So I got a mentor. Do you know why? I didn't want to face the challenges he faced at a younger age, and I didn't have to lose as much money as he did, because it takes a lot of money to spend on research. And if someone has gone through that process, why do you have to spend that kind of money too? So get a mentor, make sure you're passionate about it, and make sure that you're really dedicated in terms of building the platform and making it good.
What role does technology play in Trueflutter?
The role it plays is 80%, because it's technology that drives the matches. And
okay.
We created the algorithm, we created all those things, but it's a technology that works wonders. It's powered by machine learning. So so it's powered by machine learning, and so there's a lot of thought into it. There's a lot of so I'll say 80%, and the 20% is being able to iterate, being able to tweak, and being able to do a lot of things. But we built that thing in place that is like a machine that just going and matching people.
What's your official plan for
Trueflutter? My official plan for Trueflutter is expansion. The expansion basically. Trueflutter has connected people across the world, and we just need to be more present, because we're a dating app for Africans on the continent and in the diaspora. So we are looking at expansion in terms of expanding to America, expanding to Canada. A lot of people use our platform in those countries, right? But to have more presence there, we're looking at expansion there, and also other African countries.
How can single people looking for love access your services?
It's easy. You can go to trueflutter.com, or we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and also you can check our website, trueflutter.com. We're on Play Store, Trueflutter, and we're also on App Store at Trueflutter, and you'll find us there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dari, for your time.
Today Africa Podcast is a podcast series where we interview African entrepreneurs and professionals and share the stories behind their businesses. In each interview, we ask how they got started, how they grew, and how they run their business today. The stories are inspiring and also provide specific advice and insight into starting a business. By sharing these stories, we want to help others get started.